Talked about the Republicans. Now let's talk about Governor Tom Wolf, the Democrat who is seeking re-election as governor in Pennsylvania. I moderated a discussion with Governor Wolf for the Greater Philadelphia Chamber of Commerce this past week. I've done it for the last 6 years. It's really an honor to do it. Here is what Governor Wolf told me during that talk. And you won't raise taxes.
That's right.
As you say, you won't need to.
Well, that's right, except that I've always been for a severance tax. And I ran on that
for the shale
4 years ago, the shale tax, and I will continue to call for that because we're the only major, I think we're the only natural gas producing state in the country without a severance tax. Everyone else has one.
So no tax increases except for shale. He says he wants to ask for a boost in education spending, but again, not going to raise taxes. And he also expects this election season to make governing more difficult in Harrisburg. How could it not? But he is optimistic and confident he will have a successful fourth year. Rich, is he being sort of Pollyanna-esque about this?
You know, I'm an optimist, so I hope the
You share his view.
I share his view. I hope the governor is right. Look, it's an election year. Things are going to be crazy, right? We all call it the silly season for a reason. I think we're going to see a lot of back and forth on the budget, but they also are all well incentivized to get a budget on time. So hopefully this will be the first year in how long that we've ever gotten a budget on time during an election year.
I think Corbett got one.
Did he?
In the nick of time.
Yeah.
And last year's kind of was, but wasn't because it was never really finished.
Right. It was almost.
Yes. What do you think about the many months coming up leading up to November with Wagner in the mix and Turzai? You know, these are people he has to deal with on a daily basis who are going to be campaigning to run against him.
Seems to me they don't do too much anyhow. And then with the election season, I'm not an optimist. I've seen these guys. I don't really know what goes on there day to day. Anytime I have them on, they say there's no time to do some of these big issues that are out there that are big reforms, liquor, things like this, or they just can't come together. It amazes me, so I'm not an optimist.
I mean, there shouldn't be a problem. First, Matt, congratulations, did a great job.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, Charmaine was there, Donna
Absolutely.
Gentile
Yes.
O'Donnell was there. Yeah.
But I do think that because it's an election year and because there are going to be questions around, are they going to redraw districts? Are there going to be new districts? There's a lot of politics going on. I do believe that they're actually going to get there. They don't have to really raise taxes in order to balance the budget, according to the governor. So I think they'll get there. So Don, we may be we may be way too optimistic, but I think
What I'm gathering is there are a lot of known unknowns and there are a lot of unknown unknowns. And
that is correct.
Jamming things up.
And here is a known unknown. The combination of the pressure that pensions are putting on the budget, along with the change in federal tax law that is going to limit deductibility of state and local taxes. We don't know what that's going to look like, but we know those are problem areas. They may not bite in this year, but the first year of the next governor's term of office, whether it's Wolf or someone on the Republican side, it's going to be very difficult because those pressures aren't going away, and they're making the available options fewer and much more painful.
Optimist, we have a pessimist, and you're a realist.
Well, but I thought that the governor did a good job when you asked him about pension reform. He did talk about the fact that last year they did for new employees, they're moving to a defined contribution plan or a 401k type plan. So really the real issue now is trying to figure out how are they going to fund the deficit they have right now. His argument was that if they don't do anything, it's a 20-year payout. The more money that comes in, there's the option to bring that down. So at least there seems to at least be something around that issue that wasn't there before.
Budget address on February 6th. Philadelphia plans to become the first U.S. city to open safe injection sites. Addicts would be able to use them to take their illegal drugs safely and get clean syringes. Drug treatment would be offered. City officials say the clinics will save lives, but if Pennsylvania Attorney General Josh Shapiro says not so fast, in fact, he was at the talk with Governor Wolf and I talked to him about this, he said he is concerned about public safety with the clinics, and he adds that changes in state and federal law would need to occur to even make them legal. Rich, we've talked about this on Inside Story before. What do you think about the dynamic going on? Are these things ever going to happen, given what Josh Shapiro is saying?
Well, look, I mean, I'm proud of Philadelphia being the first major city in the United States considering this. This has been done successfully in Toronto. It's about saving lives. I think Josh, the Attorney General, has a really important point, though. These things, they haven't thought through this all the way. It's about whether you're going to provide an opportunity for people to actually break the law by using an illegal drug. That's a conversation that needs to be had at the Harrisburg level, at the Philadelphia level. One of the things I talked about, Matt, if you remember, we had this conversation here before, is I'd like to see us try to use mobile units, right? Because I think, unlike having these stationary places that are impacting neighborhoods, and there are legitimate concerns around public safety and crime around sites like this, that having mobile units that move around and actually are well publicized so that folks figure out where they are is probably the answer here. We should look at all of those options. This is a crisis. The governor declared this a crisis just a few weeks ago. So we need to take action.
They shut down Amsterdam in The Wire. It was maybe successful for a while until people really found out about it. Do you see this ever happening, Don?
I think it's going to happen. I think Philadelphia is out of control, in my view, and is bold, except Philadelphia is not behind this. Philadelphia is palming this off to volunteers and others. The mayor and others
run by the city.
are not involved.
Right.
It's illegal, first of all. How do we get past that? I believe it's immoral. And that conversation, I think, would be a deep debate. I don't support any of it, and I think it's ghastly, and I challenge the idea that it's been successful in Vancouver. I've written this, researched this. They're talking about tents. Are we going to put a tent in the middle of Rittenhouse Square for addicts to come in? Do you think people are going to accept that? And I had Richard Ross on, and this man is a great cop, and he is being put in the most horrible situation imaginable.
Well,
Really quick, 10 seconds.
I really think the good thing is that we're talking about this. This is, I mean, this is, people are dying, and if we ignore it, it's not going to change the fact that people are laying on street corners and that are actually dying from this. No, city council's not behind it yet. I think there's a lot of conversation to be had, but we have got to figure out how to do it. And I think Rich's idea of mobile units might be the compromise that we're looking for.
Got to go. Inside Stories of the Week coming up.